Hi there. So, now that we've gotten to the point of finishing off the surfacing on this particular workpiece, we are now going to finalize the last parts that need covering. So if we take a look at the simulation result, we can see there are a few unmachined sections here. So we are going to go and tidy those up now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define a new group, and we will call this finishing. And the first operation I'm going to use is a scalloping operation. So let's add that now. It's under 5D. We're going to need to tilt the tool that we've got slightly. So we're going to go with, tilting that by 30 degrees looks like a good position to go with. And now we need to find our job assignment. And the good thing about this is it's actually going to be fairly self-determining at this point. So I've already drawn up these squares here for these different sections that we need to machine. So I'm going to use this one now as our job zone, and I'm going to define the surfaces that we want to machine. So let's just quickly grab these. Let's grab this one, and then 1, 2, and 3, and those are our machining surfaces. Now, we're going to want to limit the total depth of operation there. So go to strategy, and we're going to set the bottom level to, let's go with -24, because I like round, easy to remember numbers. And for this green zone obviously extends all the way up to the lengths and leads level as well, the safe motions. So let's change that, because at the moment 10 millimeters from the part is actually really quite high. So we're going to move this down. This should be about fine. So let's go with minus 160. Give ourselves a little bit of leeway there. So with that, we're now going to try generating a toolpath and see what sort of result we get. And in truth, that's actually pretty clean. It's in line with what we need. So I'm going to simulate this and see what the result looks like. So let's slow down a little bit, press run now. And there's no particularly unexpected things happening there. That's all good. If we click on verify compare, we can see we've still got a little bit of excess around here, but nothing serious. Again, obviously this isn't a production part, it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. This is more about demonstrating technique, but I'm also going to go through how to tidy up these edges here as well. So to do that, we're going to set up another scalloping operation in much the same way that we just have, albeit at a slightly different angle. So I think I'm probably, I'm going to come from the other side, I think. So let's set that to, probably want a slightly steeper angle as well. So let's set that to -40. And yeah, you know what, let's just do this one first. So again, -40, that's absolutely fine. So again, with the job assignment, we're going to set the job zone, and we are going to set the machining surfaces. So let's grab these. Yeah, that should be fine. And we'll do the same again with regards to the depth as well. So let's just get in line with that. Bottom level is doing its own thing at the moment, so let's go and rationalize that a little bit. So 135, easy number to remember. And for the links and leads level, again, the safe level is 10 millimeters from the part, which is a little extreme. So let's bring that down to, yeah, about there. Let's go with -100. You know, again, easy number. That should do us for that. So let's generate the toolpath and see what happens. Okay, so that tooltip does get a little close, but nothing too drastic to worry about. So I think the simulation's in order at this point. So let's just slow it down, make sure that transition's okay. Yep, that looks fine. There's no obvious collision there. And that cleans up that edge nicely. Yeah, that looks good. So I think we can probably do much the same, but flipped over this axis here, so we get this corner tidied up. So I'm thinking we can duplicate that operation. So I just right click, duplicate, and we are going to change the C-axis position to positive 40. And we are also going to change the machining surfaces and the job zone geometry. So this is going to be our job zone now. And our machining surfaces are going to be these. And we should be able to generate a functional toolpath straight off the bat. Yep, no, that clears that nicely. So again, with the simulation, just to be certain, that looks good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So lastly, we want to take a look at this channel here, because as we can see, there's still a bit of unmachined stuff there, and it would be useful to get into that. There's a couple of options. I'm going to take a look at a morph toolpath for now, which should get us pretty close. Obviously, we can play around with things like tolerances and so forth for actual real-world parts, but for now, I just kind of want to show you the easy way of being able to run multiple passes when you don't have a contour that's quite right, but you do have a surface that is with two bounding contours. So we're going to go to 3D 5D Advanced, we're going to go to Morph, we are going to set our machining surfaces. Well, if I press Control instead of Shift, that would be useful. And we are going to define our drive curves, which are these two here. And then after that, we are going to change the orientation of the tool slightly, because yeah, we don't want it to be canted in C, so we're going to set that to 0. And we want to come from the other side in A, so 20 degrees looks good for that, I think. In which case we can now generate that toolpath, and we can see that it goes back and forth a couple of times. It is worth noting that the radius on this may actually be, yeah, it's a 6mm radius, so that is going to be tight for a 6mm tool. Especially doing multiple passes like that. So we may see a tiny bit of red come up in the verify compare, just so no one's surprised by this. But for now, I'm going to make sure that the safe levels, oh no, safe level's good and ridiculous there, so let's bring that down. Minus 140, and yeah, that should be okay. So let's generate that toolpath and see what it says. Okay, no obvious intersections there. That's a good start. And we'll very quickly simulate. Yep, does. There you go. Only the tiniest amount of red there. But again, that's as a factor of it being a very tight space that is directly fitted to the exact tool size, which is not really the optimum for that if you're not doing something like slot drilling. I mean, realistically, going over that with something like a 3 or 4mm ball nose would have been better, but either way, the methodology is shown, and that's the important bit. So obviously we'd like to mirror this over on this side as well, so we are going to need to add a multiply group. So one multiply group goes there. We are going to move these operations into said multiply group. Which does mean we'll have to recalculate them, which is a bit of a pain, but it is the way. And yep, so now we define the multiply group schema. which is going to be axis symmetry, and it's going to be based off the global coordinate system, and it is going to be along an axis of 90 degrees, which I think should give us what we need. Except 90 degrees is the wrong number, so try 0, and that's the correct number. So again, even when you are confident with these things, it is still very, very possible to get small details wrong, which is part of the reason why I've not been going into really fiddling around with operations on deep levels for this, because I want to try and keep it fairly clean and simple if possible. I have noticed that there is an issue here with a transition between the two groups. So we're going to need to alter the links and leads on this, which will likely have an effect on everything else as well. So that's the approach between copies. That's what we're looking for. So we don't want a short, we want to avoid collisions, which unfortunately does require all of this to be recalculated, but strangely enough only the latter half. So let's regenerate those toolpaths and see what it produces. So we give that a second, having a think about it. And once that's finished linking, we can then do the finishing section again. And now we can see we don't have any obvious collisions, which is good. That's exactly what we're after. So we're now going to simulate that last multiply group. Well, let's just very quickly fold all this down, because we don't really need the distraction. So yeah, let's take a quick look at this. We're going to speed this up a little bit. And that's the first instance that we have already checked out and looked at. It's corner, corner, and morph, and the transition over looks good. So that scalloping has come up well. It's corner, corner, and morph. So we take a quick look at the verify compare. We can see that's generally fairly clean. Obviously, you can get in with much finer passes, finer details to be able to get better results going forward. But for the instance of this particular part, we have managed to complete a fairly complicated 5-axis machining part with plenty of indexing work and some continuous machining work as well. Yeah, so I hope this has been useful to you and starts you off on your own path with 5-axis milling, and I look forward to seeing you in the next series. Take care. Bye.